Our next guest is the Falcon Field Director, Corrine Nystrom, and John Barber with the Wings of Flight Foundation. Please welcome Corrine and John. Come on up, guys.
Hello.
Hello, Corrine. Welcome. Welcome, John. Good to have you here. Well, it seems like just yesterday we were talking.
It does,
Was that a year ago, at last year's?
No.
Okay. It wasn't that long.
I think it was probably pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID. That was
When was
18
that?
months. I don't even know. It's all run
remember.
together. This last 2 years has been a blur.
It has.
Who'd have believed 2 years ago that you could get arrested for walking into a bank without a mask on? That's what we've gone through. Well, welcome, Corrine and John. Thanks for being here. John, tell us a little bit about Wings of Flight.
Wings of Flight Foundation is an organization that's here based out of Falcon Field that is helping preserve what was here before when Falcon Field was a installation during World War II. My father was one of the cadets that trained here to be a pilot during World War II, and Wings of Flight Foundation would take him up to show him the valley again. And they took other veterans that had been from World War II up in the air, and they started sponsoring the memorial services we have at Mesa City Cemetery, where most people don't know there's a British War cemetery within the Mesa City Cemetery, where 23 Royal Air Force cadets are buried, including one of my mom's playmates from when she was a child. And so both sides of my family are connected, and the Wings of Flight Foundation has just done so much to support what was here back in 1941 to 45.
That's amazing. So your father was a cadet, and he trained and flew out of Falcon Field?
Yes, out of all the asphalt they had paved out here so they could take off in any direction they wanted to go in.
That's amazing. And then he went up late. I bet he saw a few changes in the valley over the years.
He did. So, of course, I'm born and raised here in the valley, and my dad's first job here in the valley was at just south of Main Street on Country Club.
Wow.
At a car dealership that the building is still there. So you see when the cities were still far apart from each other, and I'd go from lettuce fields to go from Phoenix to Glendale, and you'd cross through all the groves here on this side of town. Many changes.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Well, Corrine, I know that recently you hosted a bus tour that went all over the City of Mesa and Falcon Field and also showed some of the growth. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there's a lot going on not only here at Falcon Field, but around in the general area. This area is really booming as far as business. Here on the airport itself, we have new hangars going in, large number of new hangars going in that are catering to private aircraft owners as well as larger aviation businesses. We just have a lot of activity going on. We were actually, right now, we are the second busiest general aviation airport in the United States.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
So we have a lot going on here.
So it's amazing to me how many people that call Phoenix home have no idea that this is all going on out here.
It's so true.
It's
yeah.
such an active hub.
Yes.
Of not only flights, but commerce, money,
That's
business.
right, yes. Yeah, we recently did an economic impact analysis of Falcon Field, and the result of that was that there's over $800 million of revenue that is generated here at Falcon Field on an annual basis that goes back into the community. And then when you include Boeing, that number just goes way up into the billions. And so there's a lot of economic advantages to having the airport here and having Boeing here as well.
That's great. Well, I know, John, you mentioned 1941, which, if my math is correct, is 80 years ago. So Falcon Field's celebrating 80 years. How is Wings of Flight involved in that ceremony?
Well, the Wings of Flight Foundation, for this Veterans Day weekend, we have events scheduled every day. So like yesterday, we had a float in the parade. on down the center street, where we had people from England and South Africa, as well as us descendants that are here from the valley. The next day we have a trip out to Saguaro Lake today, that they're going to go on a boat ride and see a little bit more of Arizona. Today, that's today, is the boat ride. Tomorrow we have a gala at the inside the World War II hangar, where we're having a 1940s era dance and an auction. And then on Sunday, the Wings of Flight sponsors the memorial at the Mesa Cemetery. So it's a 4-day event this week, with Wings of Flight deeply involved in all those activities.
That's amazing. Well, I've been to England and I've seen the weather there, and then I've seen what we're looking. We might have a lot of those people from England that are visiting that just don't want to go home.
Well, it was so hard. Everybody wants to come over, and we had COVID. So it's only been since November 1st, and yet we still have people come in for the event from England and from South Africa, because the pilots here were from all over the world. It was, you don't have just the British pilots, you had others, and then 10% of the classes were American pilots. And then today we still train British pilots here that go back and fly for the commercial airways that are still being trained here at Falcon Field.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I know one of the cool features about the airfield are the huge building wraps. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we really embrace the history here of Falcon Field, and when I say we, it's not only the airport, but the tenants here at Falcon Field and the city. And one day, some staff members and I were driving around the airport, and we looked at some of these hangar walls, normally the sides of the hangars, and said, you know, those are kind of boring. Why don't we take some pictures, original pictures from World War II, when this was a training base, and get them blown up and expanded and put those on the side of some of our hangars. And so that's what we did. And then one thing led to another. One day we looked at the air traffic control tower and said, yeah, that needs a wrap on it too. And so we first did Ozzy, that's his actual name, on the side of the tower facing the airfield. And then the next one was of a woman who worked here at Falcon Field, who worked on aircraft. We don't know her name. We're trying to figure that out. Put that on the air traffic control tower. And we obviously had to work with the FAA on that, because that tower belongs to the FAA, but they thought it was a great idea too, which was wonderful, because that's it's really unique as an airport for us to do that, and we just love being able to show what a great history we have here, as well as being a thriving community today.
That's awesome.
Trying to identify those people from 80 years ago. So we had addresses, but the addresses are 80 years old.
Wow.
So we're trying to find out who the woman is on the tower. We reached out to the Salt River community, because a number of their tribal members worked here back then. We reached out. I did find a few people that were mechanics back then, but it's like there's one family here who has like 400 descendants with the last name of Hale, but we couldn't find anybody that we spoke with. So
wow.
We keep trying. So I'm still waiting for the Hales. I'm still waiting for the Salt River.
I have confidence in you. You will track down that person.
I'm hoping with your help today that we have them.
All right, it's the power of the internet. We'll get a picture out there. Corinne, I know you have some very personal connections to Falcon Field and Mesa. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, Falcon Field was a place when I first came here. I came from Colorado originally. There was something about it that just grabbed me, because of the fact that my father also served in the military during World War II. He was actually in Patton's 4th Armored Division during the Battle of the Bulge. And I remember him telling me, when he was still alive, how grateful he was being on the ground whenever the Air Force, the Army Air Corps, or the RAF would be flying over them, because they knew at that point that they were going after the guys that were shooting at them. And And that just really grabbed me to say there's a connection here, that because of people like the folks who trained here, my father lived through the war as well. So when I saw this airport and recognized the history, I said, this is where I belong.
That's awesome. Well, and boy, you're a great fit for this airport. How long have you been here?
16 years.
16 years, there you go. Flies by, doesn't it?
It surely does, and I hope to enjoy several more years here too.
Well, let's see, in 64 more years, we'll have another celebration for your 80-year anniversary.
Right. That's right. That's
we'll
right.
plan on being here for that. Well, Corinne, thank you very much. John, thanks for Wings of Flight. What a great combination you guys have, and thanks for being part of this Veterans Day weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being part of Mesa Morning Live. Once again, Corinne and John, thank you very much for being our guests.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.